We also have talked, even on this channel, about Angel's very dramatic response to that. Angel Reese started with, "I'm heartbroken. I'm literally lost for words, knowing what this woman meant to me in such a pivotal point in my life. She was the only person," which is interesting.
After being fired by the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese, once one of the most talked about players in the WNBA, just dropped a bombshell that is rocking the sports world. Her accusations have everyone talking about what transpired between her and the Chicago Sky.
Fortunately, it seems like, according to some new reports, that relationship.
What part did her coach Teresa Weatherspoon play in this? And why was she fired? This story is about a player being cut, but it's also about a betrayal scandal and controversy that could end her once bright career.
Point being, she disrespected the official. That was the official.
Let's go back to the beginning. Angel, with all of that attention came a lot of pressure, and it appears that pressure may have resulted in some dubious decisions that ultimately cost Reese everything. Reese was always a player that people had high hopes for. She was viewed as a rising star who could potentially take the WNBA by storm with her talent on the court and her larger-than-life personality of fit. Many people thought that Reese and her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, were closer than most player-coach relationships, but no one could have predicted how toxic things would get as rumors about Reese's use of performance-enhancing drugs started to circulate. Fingers began pointing at Weatherspoon. Did she actually force Reese to make these decisions, or was Reese just attempting to shift the blame after being caught in the Chicago Sky wasted no time once the allegations came to light? Reese was quickly suspended while an investigation was conducted, but while many thought the situation would be resolved quietly, Reese had other plans. Instead of laying low and letting the investigation run its course, she took to social media to air her grievances, accusing Weatherspoon of betraying her and throwing her under the bus. According to Reese, the real reason she was let go had nothing to do with performance or drugs. It was all about politics and power plays within the team. The WNBA has never seen a scandal quite like this. Sure, there have been controversies in the past, but nothing on this level. Reese's accusations are not just damaging to her career, they're casting a shadow over the entire league. And to make matters worse, the Chicago Sky seems to be in complete disarray with Reese gone and Weatherspoon fired shortly afterward. The team is left scrambling to pick up the pieces of a season that was already falling apart. But let's take a step back. What drove Angel Reese to this point? Was it the pressure of trying to keep up with other stars like Caitlin Clark, whose rookie year was nothing short of legendary? Or was there something deeper going on behind the scenes? It's no secret that Reese's game wasn't on par with Clark's, and that frustration may have led her to make some awful choices. According to some insiders, Reese had been having trouble for some time, unable to handle the demands made of her. Her performance on the court was declining, and the comparisons to Clark were constant. The steroid allegations were the tipping point. If true, they would explain a lot about Reese's recent performance, including her sudden ability to dominate in games where she had previously struggled. But if they're false, as Reese claims, then why did the Chicago Sky cut her so quickly? Was there something else going on behind the scenes that the public doesn't know about yet? And what about Teresa Weatherspoon's role in all of this? As Reese's coach, she should have been guiding her player through these tough times, not making things worse. But according to Reese, Weatherspoon was more concerned with saving her own job than helping her star player. The two women had a falling out, and when things got tough, Weatherspoon allegedly threw Reese under the bus to protect herself. If that's true, it would explain why the Chicago Sky decided to fire both of them at the same time. The team needed to clean house and start fresh after a disastrous season, and getting rid of both Reese and Weatherspoon was the only way to do that. The locker room too was in chaos. Teammates were reportedly fed up with the drama surrounding Reese, and Weatherspoon trust was shattered and morale was at an all-time low. It's no wonder the Sky season was going downhill fast, with players more focused on the off-court issues than their performance during games. Reese's scandal only made things worse, turning what should have been a season about redemption into one of the biggest embarrassments in the team's history. Fans of course, have had mixed reactions. Some people support Reese because they believe her claims that her coach set her up and used her as a scapegoat. Others believe she is merely attempting to shift the blame after being exposed. Still others view the entire incident as another illustration of the toxic culture in women's sports, where players are held to impossible standards and frequently have to make tough decisions in order to remain competitive. One thing is certain, though. This story is far from over. Even though Reese is no longer with the Chicago Sky, her career isn't over yet. She's made it clear that she won't go down without a fight, and you can bet that there will be more twists and turns in this story before it's all said and done. The WNBA has a lot of work to do to repair its image after this scandal. The league has been working to increase its fan base and visibility in recent years, but scandals like this don't help. If anything, they only serve to reinforce the unfavorable stereotypes that have dogged women's sports for decades. Where will Angel Reese go from here? Will she recover from this scandal and reclaim her spot in the WNBA, or will her career officially end? Only time will tell, but one thing is for certain, she won't be quiet. Reese has always been vocal, and you can bet that she will keep fighting to clear her name and reveal what she believes to be the true reason for her firing. But what about the Chicago Sky? With both Reese and Weatherspoon gone, the team is in disarray and will need to find new leadership both on and off the court if they hope to rebuild after such a disastrous season. But with so much animosity still present, it will take more than just a few new faces to turn things around. As for Teresa Weatherspoon, her future in the WNBA is as uncertain as Reese's, whether or not she was directly involved in the steroid accusations. Although it will be difficult for her to find another coaching position anytime soon given that her name is now linked to such a contentious situation, this story also raises some significant issues regarding the pressures that athletes, particularly women, face in today's sports world. Reese may have made some poor choices, but it is obvious that the intense scrutiny she endured was a major factor in her demise. Like other professional sports leagues, the WNBA must do more to help its players and make sure they have the tools necessary to handle the demands of competition and fame. Reese's story has only grown more intense since her firing from the Chicago Sky, and the fallout continues to reverberate through the WNBA. As we dive deeper into this mess, it's becoming clearer that this scandal has exposed much more than just one player's mistakes. It's pulled back the curtain on the pressure and politics at play in women's professional basketball. In the immediate aftermath of her firing, Reese remained defiant. She's always been a fighter, and this time was no different. Instead of quietly fading away, she started speaking out, telling anyone who would listen that she wasn't the only one to blame. In fact, she suggested that she was pushed into a corner with no choice but to make desperate moves to keep her career alive. But while Reese was pointing fingers at her coach and the Chicago Sky organization, the fans and the media were quick to respond, and not all of them were on her side. Many believe that her actions, regardless of the circumstances, have done irreparable damage to her reputation. The steroid scandal, whether she was pressured into it or not, has left a dark cloud hanging over her career. And it's not just the fans who are questioning her now. Her former teammates, too, are reportedly distancing themselves from her, unwilling to be associated with someone who has become the face of such a massive controversy. One of the most important questions in this case is whether Reese's rivalry with Caitlin Clark contributed to her demise. From the time Reese joined the league, comparisons were made between her and Clark, both of whom were young, gifted athletes with the potential to be the WNBA's faces. However, as Clark's star grew, Reese appeared to struggle under the pressure of those expectations. It's no secret that Caitlin Clark has been nothing short of a sensation since she joined the WNBA. Her incredible on-court performances have won her a horde following, and she has swiftly become the league's darling. Reese, on the other hand, hasn't been able to maintain her stats, while respectable pale in comparison to Clark's record-breaking numbers. And as Clark's star continued to rise, the pressure to compete with Clark must have been tremendous. It's difficult enough to succeed in the WNBA, but when you're always being compared to someone as dominant as Clark, the pressure can feel unbearable. Reese may have made the choices that ultimately led to her demise because of the pressure to perform or the need to remain relevant in the face of Clark's increasing success, notoriety in interviews and social media posts. Reese has made it clear that she isn't ready to fade into obscurity. She is determined to fight her way back into the league and isn't afraid to call out those who she believes have wronged her along the way. This is a bold move, especially given that she is currently at the center of one of the biggest scandals in WNBA history. But if there's one thing we know about Angel Reese, it's that she isn't afraid of a fight. The WNBA is doing its best to distance itself from the controversy, and the league has worked hard in recent years to increase its fan base and improve its reputation, and this scandal threatens to undo much of that progress. The fact that one of its most recognizable players is now embroiled in a steroid scandal is a nightmare for the league's PR team, and the fact that her coach Teresa Weatherspoon was allegedly involved only makes things worse for Weatherspoon. This scandal has been nothing short of a career-ending disaster. Once a respected coach with a bright future ahead of her, she's now become a symbol of everything that went wrong with the Chicago Sky this season, whether or not she was directly involved in Reese's decisions. The fact that her name is now associated with the scandal has done irreparable damage to her reputation, and in a league as competitive as the WNBA, that kind of damage can be difficult, if not impossible, to recover from. But even as the dust settles from this scandal, questions remain. Was Reese's firing really about the steroid allegations, or was there more going on behind the scenes? Some insiders have suggested that the Chicago Sky had been looking for a reason to cut ties with Reese for a while, and the steroid scandal simply gave them the opportunity they needed. Others believe that the decision to fire both Reese and Weatherspoon at the same time was a calculated move designed to send a message to the rest of the league. Whatever the truth, maybe one thing is clear: Angel Reese's story is far from over. She may be down, but she's certainly not out. In fact, some would argue that this scandal has only made her more determined to succeed, and while her path back to the WNBA will undoubtedly be a difficult one, it's hard to imagine Reese giving up without a fight. The fallout from this scandal has also raised important questions about the state of the WNBA as a whole. For now, though, all eyes remain on Angel Reese. Will she be able to clear her name and make a comeback, or is her career in the WNBA truly over? Only time will tell, but if there's one thing we can count on, it's that Reese isn't going to stay quiet, whether she's fighting for her place in the league or calling out those who she believes have wronged her. She's not done making headlines just yet. And what about Caitlin Clark? With Reese out of the picture, Clark's dominance in the league is likely to continue unchecked. But even without Reese as her rival, Clark still has plenty of competition in the WNBA, and while her rise to fame has been meteoric, she'll need to stay focused if she wants to maintain her position at the top. As for the Chicago Sky, the team is facing an uncertain future with both Reese and Weatherspoon gone. They'll need to rebuild from the ground up, and with the shadow of this scandal hanging over them, it won't be easy. But if there's one thing we've learned from this saga, it's that anything can happen in the world of professional sports. In the end, Angel Reese's story is one of talent, ambition, and the pressures that come with success. Whether she's ultimately vindicated or vilified, her journey serves as a reminder that the path to greatness is rarely a straight line, and for the WNBA, her scandal is a wake-up call that there's still work to be done to support its players and ensure that the league's future remains bright. As we wait to see what the next chapter holds for Angel Reese, one thing is certain: the story isn't over, and with so many unanswered questions and unresolved tensions, the world of women's basketball will be watching closely to see what happens next.